Greetings and welcome to Utique Lifestyle. This is a wardrobe planning series in collaboration with So Much Fabric, where fabric is sewn into fashion. In this video, I'm going to show you the general process of how I sewed my front zipper skirt, with a special focus on how I sewed the corner seams and the welt pockets. For the notions and fabrics, I did get a custom size separating zipper, and it was 27 inches in length. This is the Valentine red rayon lining, the red faux leather fabric which will trim the skirt, and the black white diamond woven cotton from Italy. And this is the main fashion fabric. And anytime you're working with leather or faux leather, make sure to use the appropriate needle. I also used tissue paper to allow the faux leather to glide through the sewing machine, and used tweezers to peel off the tissue paper. For the toile, I had used my block pattern for my red lace skirt. I modified it by adding the trims and the welt pockets. And once the toile was fitted, it was ready to be taken apart. And now I am ready to cut the fashion fabrics. Here I start cutting the black and white diamond woven cotton. And next I will cut the red faux leather trimming, in which I will lay out, pin, and cut. It is now ready to be sewn together. Here you can see all the fashion fabrics laid out. And I will be using a 1-inch seam allowance for this project. I will start sewing the trim to the back skirt, sew the back skirt together at the center, and then the waist trim. And now I am ready to sew the corner seams on the front of the skirt. At the corner, I marked the seam width, which I used 1 inch for this skirt. I will mark a dot 1/8 inch from the corner. Next, I will start from the outer corner and cut to the dot. With right sides of the fabrics facing each other, I will pin my trim to my fashion fabric. I will start sewing the fabrics together, and once I get close to the corner, I'm going to slow down. I'll do a secure stitch at the dot, slide the needle down, bring up your sewing foot, and pivot. You're going to move all the fabrics towards the back of the sewing machine. Lower the sewing foot, straighten out the fabrics, and sew. And once I get to the end, I will do a secure stitch, and now I have a corner seam. Repeat it for the other side. And now I'm ready to attach the waist trims to the top of the skirt. The welt pockets are ready to be sewn on. I had transferred the outline of the welt pocket onto the fashion fabric, and I'm retracing it here with my chalk wheel. I will thread trace it with a contrasting color so I can feel it from both sides of the fabric. The welt is 5 inches in width and 1.75 inches in height. 1 inch wider on all sides of the welt pocket, I cut out 2 interfacings. I matched up the outline of the pocket and ironed. I did scream a little when I realized I burnt the faux leather. However painful it was, I was going to move forward, since it does get resolved when I sew on the zipper. And so the interfacings were ironed on. I had cut out 2 pocket fabrics, 7 inches in width and 13 inches in length. I had also cut out 2 faux leather welts, 7 inches in width and 8 inches in length. I'm going to mark 1 inch width from the top and then 1 inch width on the sides. I laid a welt prototype to trace the bottom. And now I have the outline of the welt on the faux leather. I will also cut out 2 interfacings for the faux leather. I will iron it on to the back, and here you can see it is ironed on. So here I have 2 faux leather welts and then 2 fabric pockets. With the right sides of the fabric facing each other, match up and pin the corners of the welt fabric to the main fabric. Match it up for the other 3 corners as well. Here I'm going to place a pin just to stabilize it. We'll match up the bottom corners and then stitch along the top and bottom lines. As I got close to the corner, I would slow down and then manually stitch back and forth to make sure I did not pass the corner. Here I used a zipper foot to see the corners better. At the very center, I'm going to mark an inch in from the sides and then draw a line down the center. I will draw lines connecting the markings to the corners and then snip into the center of the fabric and cut along those lines. Make sure to be extra careful and not cut past the corners. Now I will take the welt fabric and flip it through the slits to the other side. Lay the faux leather flat, and I'm going to flip it to the other side to iron just to avoid any contact with the faux leather. Make sure the welt fabric is tucked under nice and flat. And now I'm ready to press. Next, fold the top part back and then pull the faux leather forward and lay it back on top. Straighten and flatten it out. I will take the chalk wheel and trace the upper edge of the welt pocket. You can see the line has been transferred, and I'm going to fold it under and press. Now flip the side up and pin all the fabrics together. Repeat it for the other side. Now I'm going to stitch down the triangles. I will use a zipper foot and tissue paper underneath to allow the fabric to glide through the sewing machine. I will be tearing it off as I complete sewing it. Next, I'm going to stitch in the ditch at the lower edge of the welt pocket. Remember to adjust and move the needle all the way to the right and then sew. When sewing is complete, tear off the tissue paper and then use a tweezer to pick off the tissue paper. And now I am ready to sew on the pockets. With right sides of the fabrics facing each other, sew it together. Fold up the fabric to meet the corners and pin. I took it to my serger and sewed along the outer 3 edges. And then I'm going to stitch in the ditch on the top edge of the welt pocket. And I am done with the pocket and now ready to sew on the zipper. I used this water-soluble double-sided tape because it eliminated pinning. At this point, I didn't want to put any type of sewing holes into the faux leather fabric because it would be permanent. This was also the opportunity to cover up my fabric burn. So here I have pressed the seam allowance, and I will place the tape along the edge inside the seam, and the tape will be cut the length of the zipper. I'm going to go over and press it down just to secure it. I will remove it small sections at a time and then lay it on the zipper. Flip it to the back and then sew along the edge. Repeat it for the other side, making sure the zipper is aligned. Flip it to the back and sew. The zipper is now attached, and my burnt fabric is hidden in the seam behind the zipper. So now you know the skirt has a beautiful birthmark. Here's the general process of how I sewed the lining and did the finishing touches. If you have any questions on this part, feel free to ask and leave it in the comments section below. And I am complete with the skirt. Thank you so much, Roz, for making sure my skirt fit perfectly, and I just love the outcome. I got to wear it on a trip to Seattle, Washington to celebrate our 15-year wedding anniversary. Mr. T surprised me with this trip since it's been 5 years, the last time we traveled with just the two of us. We attended Mass at St. James Cathedral and then had a nice dinner afterwards at Heirloom. Here are some clips from the evening. Thank you so much for everything, Mr. T. I love you, and just thank you for being you. And also a special thanks to my brother-in-law, Thong, for watching the kids and making sure they were taken care of. It wouldn't be possible without your help. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you like this video, please click like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell for future new videos. Well, I hope you got inspired to create something extraordinary out of the ordinary.